Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I have a review for you that I've been working on since, oh boy, October of last year. Of course, it's only January of 2021, so it's only a few months, but I really wanted to make sure I had all of my experimentation research and general information about these before I reviewed them because they are kind of expensive. I tend to really overthink products before I buy them when they're pricey, and I assume you probably do too because there's so many great supplies out nowadays. Nowadays, you don't just want to buy something that's gonna be the same as what you already have or just replace something you already have. So I'm going to talk about the Derwent Lightfast Pencils today. I started off by getting this tin of 12 at my local big box store, and I used a 40% off coupon on these, so that made these around 26 bucks, which is about what you could buy them online at like Blick. And even that I thought was pretty expensive. The regular price on a set of 12 is $49.19. So it's definitely not something you buy on a whim. And I did a bunch of like sketches with these during my October drawing challenge. This is one I drew of my daughter Lila. I loved using these on the tone tan paper because they just worked so well. They lay down they lay down a lot of pigment, but you can still layer. I just feel like they're the best of a lot of, they have a lot of the good qualities of a lot of different products. Now I'm going to show you a couple nudes that I sketched. There's nothing graphic, but I just want to give you a heads up in case, you know, you don't want to see that. You can skip ahead a couple minutes. But I did a figure drawing challenge in October because I wanted to improve my figure drawing ability. I don't know if I have any more using those pencils right here. And as I was using them, I was realizing they reminded me a lot of the, I have some of these upside down because I took my sketchbook twirled around. They reminded me a lot of the Derwent drawing pencils, and we're going to get into the comparison of those as well. This one, I mean, it was just so easy for me to lay down the darks and the highlights and the midtones with those pencils. I love that I could sketch quickly with them because a lot of times with these pencils, I feel like, you know, you have to spend a lot of time. Like this, for instance, is 1 hour in a sketch versus 5 minutes on a sketch. You know, you get more refined. This was actually done with the Derwent drawing pencils, and I was thinking, geez, they remind me an awful lot of the Derwent Lightfast. So I think that's about it in there for those. So I also wanted to use that 12 color set on a full artwork piece, and I do have a time lapse of this on my channel, and I do a real-time version of this tutorial in my critique club, but I really liked what I could do with just those 12 colors, and I was like, you know, I thought these were great for, you know, sketching figures during my figure challenge. There's a lot of neutrals in here. They came out with the neutral tones early, I think, because they were the easiest to do in a Lightfast formula, because really that's what you're paying for here. You're paying for the research to make pencils that are not going to fade under museum conditions for 100 years. So that's what the real claim to fame to these are, and that's really what I think that would be the only reason I think to purchase these pencils and to spend that much, is that you want to make sure your work is not going to fade, because there are other pencils out there that'll perform beautifully, will do gorgeous work in your sketchbooks that perhaps may fade. So if that's not a quality that you're looking for, you really don't need these. But if it is a quality you're looking for, then keep on listening. The nude portion of this video is over now, by the way. If you have kids roaming around, you want to take them back in the I know it wasn't anything graphic, but still, I want to respect any parents' wishes. So I was really pleased that I could keep layering up, and the more you layered up these pencils, the more they felt very blendable and very rich and creamy. I wouldn't call them like oil paints. They are technically an oil-based pencil, but they didn't feel to me particularly oil-based. They are a harder lead than, say, a Prismacolor. They even felt a little bit harder than a Polychromos, to be honest, but they had a little bit more opacity than a Polychromos or other oil-based pencils. So I do have some other artwork to show you, but first let's look at the larger set here. I found a good deal on the 72 set. I wanted to hold out for the 100 set, but it was back ordered, and it was also available in a wooden box, which I'm not crazy about the wooden boxes, because it makes the price more expensive. And they were back ordered, and they were going to be quite a bit more expensive per pencil, so I decided I would get the 72 set and then pick up the other colors open stock, which I actually just did today because when I was checking prices on these, Blick had the individual pencils 50% off. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen them that cheap before, because generally they're about $4.10 per pencil. They were on sale for $2.05. So I grabbed the other colors that I didn't have for that. So first thing I'm going to say, Derwent, you really could up your packaging game. These trays are so flimsy. Yes, I know you offer wood boxes for some of the sets, but I don't really like I don't like having the wood boxes out. They take up a lot of space in my desk. But man, your pencil case is really flimsy and it's really easy to dump these out. I actually did dump these out, but luckily they didn't go very far. So even budget pencils have oftentimes better trays than these do. So that was kind of a bummer. Another issue I had with these, by the way, I picked these up on Amazon for I think I paid $157 for the set of 72, and I had never seen them that low before, and then the price jacked right back up like an hour later, so I got a good deal. There was a problem with one of the pencils. It was the Oyster pencil. I've got it over here actually, and I don't know if you can see that, but there is actually a speck. I'm gonna bring my hand up. I'm not sure if it will focus. Do you see that speck of brown? I couldn't sharpen that off, and I contacted Derwent customer service, and they sent me out a brand new Oyster pencil free of charge. They sent it right out that day, so I mean, it'd take me like a week or so to get it because it was from, you know, England. But so I had a great interaction with customer service there. No questions asked. I mean, I did send a photo with it just to, so I'm like, what's going on here? And they just said that, you know, they were so sorry something slipped through their quality control. And I have to say, I've never had an issue with Derwent products being subpar, except the packaging. When I ordered my Inktense blocks, the trays were completely busted. And some of the sticks were broken because of that. Not that it really matters with those, but they do have good customer service. Their trays really could use some work. Because, I mean, you look at the polychromos, they come in a beautiful tray with little elastic bands. You can lift them out. They're sturdy. They're not wobbly when you pick them up. Anyway, that's my only complaint with these, really, is the packaging. The price is, the prices, again, it is what it is. I waited for a sale, and then I waited for a sale again to get the ones I didn't have. But then again, it is a product that's not going to fade on you. So I can understand that. They've got chemists and scientists and stuff working in-house in their factory, making sure that their artist quality products are top-notch. Their student quality products are another story. I've never used the student quality products. I know those are outsourced, some of them anyway. But their artist quality pencils are wonderful. So let's take a look at the swatch for the 72 set. This is the colors. You can tell that it's kind of a muted palette. They're not the super vibrant colors that you would see in, say, your 120 tin of polychromos or your 150 tin of Prismacolor. These have omitted the problematic colors, or they've reformulated the problematic colors to withstand the test of time. They've got gorgeous violets. I mean, like, you can't even see how rich that and luminous that violet is because full strength it's just so dark. But you could layer like your wild lavender, your heather, or your white even over it and bring out the gorgeous vibrancy of those colors. This was swatched on watercolor paper, and I was able to do 6 layers. And pretty easily without a lot of pressure. I did have to add pressure on the 6th one, but otherwise I was able to lay down really light layers. Now you're probably thinking, Lindsay, that's not fair. You're swatching it on. Oh, by the way, you know what? I just realized I need to reswatch Oyster, because that's what happened when I used the old pencil. I was getting that color there. I'm gonna just quickly take my electric eraser and try to erase that and re-swatch it for you. I really like the electric eraser. They work really well with the Derwent Lightfast too for like highlighting and stuff. Don't let me forget to show you the goldfish I just drew today with these. So I wasn't able to remove all the crud on that swatch, but this pencil had no problem covering it. So that's what Oyster should look like. It's just kind of a very soft, almost like a really, really super light soft shell pink kind of. I really like the Arctic. The Arctic almost looks brighter than white. I think the Arctic and the Oyster are more opaque than the white because I think they feel a little softer, so they just lay down a little bit better. So I did use some Stonehenge, because that's typically what I would use with colored pencils. That's what I did the amethyst on. So I restamped my little scale there and decided to do that here and see what kind of layering I could get. and it was still between 4 and 6 layers. So I just chose a few colors at random to see how they would do. And like this this brown here, I really got 5 layers before I really had to burnish hard, and I couldn't get any more after that. These are dull in the end because I was just kind of using alcohol marker to, you know, dissolve it, and then Gamsol to dissolve it just to see what happened. It took some luminosity away, but I think you generally would be going over that again, so I don't think it would be that big of an issue. It took any of the remaining oily wax out. I did see a little bit of bloom, I will tell you. If I kind of like, not a lot, nothing to really even mention, except for the fact that I'm just feeling that these don't feel as oily as other oil pencils. They don't feel quite as transparent, and which is good for me. I prefer a wax pencil, honestly. But it's just worth mentioning in case that's something that you're like, how come I can see any little pencil strokes? I can see a little bit of reflection there from the wax. You know, there's got to be some wax content in there. So like for this red, I was able to get 5 layers. For this green, I was able to get 6. For the purple, I was able to get 6. For this mid ultramarine, I was only able to get about 4. So, you know, it does vary by color. I definitely feel that some colors are softer, some colors are harder, some lay down a little easier. This is the blending test, and I did that dry, and I'll just, see, there's not a lot of bloom. If I just kind of like shift that, let me bring it up to the camera and try to catch any sort of reflection, you know, it's not bad. You know, you just see a little bit of you can just see a little bit of wax. It's nothing bad. Those are the 3 colors that I used right there: mallard green, turquoise, and light aqua. They blended really well. You can layer. I'd recommend light layers and then kind of working yourself up, and you can go over your pencils pretty easily after they're laid down if you want to put some detail. These sharpen to a nice point. The point is pretty robust. If you sharpen it to a needle point, it's going to snap on you. But it will keep its point fairly long, much longer than a Prismacolor. I don't need to sharpen that often. And this guy that I did not like with my Prismacolors, I really liked this sharpener with these Derwent Lightfast because I don't need to sharpen them very often. I still ended up when I did this goldfish drawing today, I still ended up having to sharpen enough that I had to empty the tiny little hopper in this like 3 times. So, you know, it's still a tiny little sharpener, but I really liked it. And I used the number 3 dial on the T-Gal sharpener just for reference. I don't know. That might work great for you. It might not. It worked great for me. Just, you know, giving you that information. I did a controlled wash. Look at this band of color. There was like something wrong with my paper, and I had like this dark band of color there. I just did a controlled wash of aqua green in the background. I had it on white, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a background, but I find if you're afraid not to do something to your painting because you're afraid you're going to ruin it, you should just do it, because it's either going to be awesome or you're going to learn what not to do next time. And it's my sketchbook, so I wasn't worried about it. But I thought they layered really well. I was able to put marks and even go dark over light and light over dark. I was feeling that these were not super transparent when I was working with them, but I grabbed a piece of black cardstock and just decided to do some tests. Now, I chose the most opaque colors, your more pastel colors, and you know, they were fairly opaque. Where I did the kind of the pale green and the pale yellow, the yellow there, they weren't much to write home about, but then when I burnished over with white, it really made the color pop. So if you are working on a dark color and you really need that color to pop, try going over it with the white or the Arctic or the oyster, depending on what color you have. But you can see those colors that are invisible on the black, once you mix the white into it, it really becomes vibrant. So they're more opaque than I thought they were just from using them, because when I was doing some of the white's not terribly opaque, I didn't find. Let me just swatch the white out really quick, because when I was doing the edges of the fins, I wanted to go in with some white and kind of like go over the background a little bit to integrate the fish with the background a little bit, and I was having a really hard time getting that white to show up. Maybe there wasn't enough contrast, but here's white right here. Let's just do a little. You know, it looks fairly opaque there, so maybe I'm just, you know, losing my marbles. I don't know. It looks plenty opaque right there. I think because it's hard. Maybe that's it. I'm used to that soft white Prismacolor. I didn't have a single lead break from either set, and this came from Amazon, and the tin was dented, so that's pretty good. And they're in these shabby Derwent tins, and if they're not breaking, then I think that's probably pretty good. I know, I'm giving Derwent a hard time about their tins. The tins I like. I just wish you know what I'm gonna do, guys? I'm gonna cut a piece of cardboard, probably mat board actually, and I am going to line the bottom of this tin. I'm going to cut it to fit the bottom of this tin. I'm going to glue it in place, and I'm going to make little ribbon tabs that I can pull this out with. I did that with my Derwent blocks because they're so flimsy, and that's going to save my pencils from getting like tipped over like I did before. And luckily, you know, they just went into the lid. They didn't go too far. But I would recommend that. And then it'll be fine. It'll be just as nice as Polychromos tin-wise. But yeah. Not impressed with those flimsy tins. I mean, really, how much does it cost to add like a nicer tray like Caran d'Ache or Faber-Castell does? I don't know. Pencils themselves, they're aces. Okay, so another thing I was looking at as I was using them, especially when I had the tin of 12, because there's so many earthy tones in the tin of 12, I was like, boy, these feel familiar. These feel like, and the colors seem familiar, and they're familiar because they felt so much like the Derwent drawing pencils, which are a very opaque wax-based pencil, but as I tip this to the light, it's got about the same kind of sheen as the Derwent Lightfast pencils do. So I thought that was really interesting. So this is a 24 color of the Derwent drawing pencils. I have them right here. It's an older set, but you know, I don't think they've changed the pencils. I think they've changed the packaging, but they're a lovely pencil. You get a lot more bang for your buck with these. These are also highly light fast, and they got huge cores. Like the cores are, I don't know, 6mm or something like that. It probably says on the package. Let me see. It probably says right on the back. I'm trying not to dump them out. These are just one layer, so I don't have to worry about the thing. 5mm core on these, and this one I think is like a 3.7mm core. Does it say? It probably does. I'm thinking it's about 3.74mm core. So you get more bang for your buck, and generally these are about half the price. So if the Lightfast are $4 a pencil, these are $2 a pencil, generally. So you should be paying less. If you're buying these, you should be paying a lot less than the Lightfast pencils, just to give you the heads up there. But some of the colors were the exact same color name. I found that some of the tones did differ a little bit, but when I looked at the, I highly recommend these two, by the way. When I looked at the swatch of the Derwent drawing pencils, I saw that there were a lot of colors that were so very similar, if not the same, like Ruby Earth. They are uncanny. The sepia, very close. The natural brown. There's so many colors. The brown ochre. You know, there's almost all the colors. Actually, I made a little black bar over the ones that were identical matches. So you can see that, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 were direct matches in color and by name, I do believe, when I made, because I've been working on this for a while. So like this is, I think both of these were Olive Earth, but they didn't look the same, so I didn't put the bar there. But I would highly recommend, if you're on the fence, get the Derwent drawing set because it's so much cheaper, and see what you think and work with them and see if you like the feel of them, if you like the blendability of them, and then if you do, then consider picking up Lightfast, or maybe even just adding the colors that you feel like you would want to them. Now I can swatch a couple side by side. They feel very similar. They don't feel exactly the same. I feel like I was thinking there was a little more drag on the drawing pencils, but let me just grab a color that I have pretty close in both. Oh, burnt sienna. I think I have that in both. Sanguine. Oh, wouldn't you know burnt sienna is like the color I don't have, but it's very close to Mars orange. So let's just do that. And I do have Mars orange in that, but it's on the bottom layer. So I'm not giving much pressure. I'm getting a really nice color laydown, but it feels like it's got a bit of a drag to it. Boy, they feel awfully close. You know, man, they do feel awfully close. I was going to say that maybe one felt like it had a little more of a drag than the other. Smudgeability. I think maybe the Derwent drawing might smudge a little bit. They both feel fairly dry. And I think that's what surprised me so much. I was expecting more of a smooth, creamy feel to these, but they felt a little dry, almost like the Polycolors by Koh-i-Noor. I think that's what they're called, Polycolors. Is that right? Koh-i-Noor, it's their main line in the red tin. It felt very similar to that. I'd say these were probably maybe a little bit softer. I feel these have more color payout than the Polycolors, but a similar feeling to me. But definitely the drawing and the Lightfast definitely feel like the same pencil, and just in the drawing's a larger a larger format. They're both gorgeous. Highly recommend them. And I bought them to do standalone artworks in colored pencil because sometimes I want to spend the time. And colored pencil work takes a long time to do. So if I'm going to do a piece of colored pencil artwork on like sanded paper and I'm going to put hours into it, then I don't want it to fade. Generally, what I would use colored pencils for would be to do a watercolor and then add colored pencil on top, like I did with this portrait of my daughter Maisie. And I did the watercolor undertone and then, or underpainting, and then I added some of the Derwent Lightfast and drawing, because I only had the 12 set of the Lightfast and drawing. And I think I might have actually added a couple Prismacolors to that too, because I didn't have the right colors. But something like this, I wouldn't be counting on the colored pencil to be holding it together. That would just kind of be to almost like brighten up areas, you know, where it's maybe a little too dark. So the light fastness of the pencil quality there wouldn't be as big of a deal, but if I'm doing 100% colored pencil, then I definitely would want to make sure that it was going to hold up. So that's why I purchased the Derwent Lightfast pencils. So I just wanted to put that out there in case you're, you know, just looking for a pencil to add accents onto a painting that you've done in watercolor or pastel. That might be overkill for the, you know, because they are expensive. I don't know if the price is going to drop. I mean, if Blick can sell the open stocks for 50% off, then maybe, you know, the price is going to come down once the, you know, fervor of them dies down. But they're great quality pencil. I highly recommend them if you're looking for something that's going to be light fast. Oh, here's a tip, guys. What I recommend you do, all your sets are going to come with one of these little brochures in here, and it's going to list all the colors. And in this brochure, it goes in like a spectrum order. And in this brochure, it will tell you what pencils are in what set. So say if you start with a 24 set or the 48 set, is that what they come in? They come in 12, 24, 36, 48, 72, or 100. So if you start with a set that's smaller than 100, for instance, you might not know what colors you need to complete your set. You can look through here and you can see what colors are in each set and what like are only in the 100 set. So when I was on Blick to buy the colors that I didn't have already, I was just going to buy everything that said new, but that wasn't necessarily the ones that were in the 100 set. So I went through this brochure and I was able to look through what ones were in the 100 set and only purchase those, because some were not labeled as new and some were. So I highly recommend you save this. And some of the names are kind of similar, so you don't want to get confused. Now I'm only going to be missing the Pacific blue color because they didn't have that one. They didn't have that one on their website for some reason. Maybe it's super duper new. But all of the colors, all of the 100 colors in the Derwent Lightfast range will be in your booklet. So save this and then you can note what ones you have. And it'll make it easy for when you need to replace one. And if you're going to the store, if you know you're about to run out, you could even make little notes or I would stick little sticky note flags in your booklet. So if you're running low on one, you can put a little flag on it and take that to the store or sit down at the computer with it when you're going to order. I'm pointing like you can't see my computer over there. Because this is something you probably wouldn't want to buy a bunch of extras that you're not going to use. You know what I mean? Because they are pricey, and you know there's probably certain colors that you're going to go through quicker. For instance, if you're on the fence about these, I would say invest in the purples and pinks. I can't wait for that magenta to come. I've really been looking for a nice bright pink and Bordeaux. I don't have those two. They're coming on the, I just ordered them. But their violet is so vibrant and gorgeous and dark that you could use it almost as like a deep shadow, or add white to it and have this really, like amethyst, have that amethyst color. And that violet's in the 12 color set. So if you have a big box store in your neighborhood that allows coupons, then you might be able to score that 12 set, or I don't know, maybe they sell more, maybe in bigger cities they sell more larger sets of these things, but in, you know, Smallville, they don't. You know, yeah, you can do a lot with that 12 set and see if it's something that you're really going to use before investing. I highly recommend these. I think the price is justified, to be honest, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work with these. They were so much fun to use, and I just I worked on this for quite a while, and I felt like I could still keep layering and blending and doing more to it. I probably overworked it a little bit, honestly, because I was having so much fun, you know, playing with it. But let's also, just to reiterate, they don't feel particularly oily. They don't feel very waxy either. They are a harder pencil. They are much harder than what I usually prefer to use, but because you don't need to put a lot of pressure, they're so pigmented, you don't need a lot of pressure to lay down those layers. You could burnish, and that could be tiring for your arm if you're doing a lot of burnishing, but I don't really feel like you need to do a lot of burnishing to lay down that color. I think they're going to wear fairly slowly. I mean, even the 12 tin that I was using for a few months before I bought the larger ones, I mean, there's not like a ton of wear and tear for the amount I've used them, I don't think, in my opinion, anyway. So they seem like, you know, I'm not constantly sharpening them like I am a Prismacolor, no breakage. I feel like you're going to get your money's worth with them, even though they are a bit on the pricey side. I think they're cheaper if you live in Europe. I know there's a website called Cult Pens that a lot of people recommend, and they sell them for quite a bit less. So of course you have to pay shipping if you're over here, but if you are in Europe, you probably can get a better deal on these. So I would definitely shop around if you're not in America. If you are in America, still shop around because, you know, not too many places have them open stock here. You know, you want to get a good price. These are expensive. I always, like, if I'm looking for a set of something, I will look at the big box retailers, art supply retailers like Dick Blick, Jerry's Artorama, and Cheap Joe's, and Mary Artist. And, like, I think Jerry's only had the 36 set at the time that I was looking to purchase, and they didn't have open stock. And then I also check Amazon, because sometimes with sets you can get a cheaper price, and a lot of times they won't even advertise the price. You have to click on, you have to put it in your cart before you can even see the price. That was the situation with these. And when I saw the price, I'm like, $157. I've never seen them that low. I just snagged it. Didn't think twice, because I've been looking for them for so long. And when Blick had the open stock for $205, I snagged them because I've never seen that price before. So I didn't hesitate. But, you know, think it over. Think it over. It's still at $2.05 a pencil. That's still twice as much as Prismacolor and a lot of other brands. So, you know, keep it in mind. I know a lot of adult coloring books artists are using these, and you know, first I thought, well, that's kind of overkill. But then, you know, I'm like, they wear so slow. They keep a sharp point. Why not? If that's, you know, if that's your hobby and you enjoy it, it's none of my business what pencils you want to use. So there you have it. I hope that gave you all the information you need to consider these pencils. Obviously, there are other people reviewing these on YouTube. I highly recommend, before making it a large purchase, that you do your research, because you don't want it to take space up on your shelf. You want to use it. You don't want to be afraid to use it. These are wonderful art supplies, and I'm going to enjoy using them more and more, and I hope you do too if you choose to purchase them. I hope this was helpful. If so, please give me a thumbs up before you go. Leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you just want to say hello. And until next time, happy crafting!